I just watched Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and holy shit, it's amazing! I loved every second of it. The movie, as a continuation to Into the Spider-Verse, is incredible and is an amazing follow-up, which I didn't believe in. I thought, hey, they got lucky with the first and that's it. They were done. The first was such a solid package. It had everything from origin story to a really well done conclusion. And yes, they even teased the second movie, but I never thought it would ever be made. Or it could ever top the first, and it does. It does in every single aspect. And now I need to see it more, and I want to see it again. So what did I like about this movie? Well, first, the characters. The first 15 minutes we follow Gwen and how she's doing after the events of Into the Spider-Verse, and seeing her and her world correspond to her comic book art style is incredible. I love the watercolors, and something a friend pointed out to me is how the colors change due to the mood the characters are in, but also her character in this film is much more fleshed out than what we got in the first movie. I thought it would not go over well, but her story is tragic but a very important one, and how she's grown as a character is fantastic. But then there's the whole other list of other characters like Spider-Punk, who I didn't even know a whole lot about. But this movie, like the first, made me want to get out there and read his comics. And I loved how antagonistic he was without being annoying or preachy. Instead, he had just enough screen time and his animations are crazy. Whenever he was on screen, he was a visual marvel to look at. He's so different to everyone. And I love to see him again. And that's just Gwen and Spider-Punk. There's also Miles and the original Spider-Man that we get to see from the first movie. Every character has had growth. Peter B. Parker has a kid and is questioning his morals as to what is the right choice, what Spider-Man means to him, what Spider-Man should do. And he's not the only one that goes through that, but as a character, he's such a juxtaposition to the main villain in parenthesis. And then there's Milo O'Hara, or Spider-Man 2099. He is the perfect antagonist in this film. He's not your typical bad guy. He wants to do right, but goes to the extreme to protect the multiverse by any means necessary. He is, by all accounts, the perfect villain or antagonist. He's shown off to be the coolest, but also the scariest Spider-Man across the multiverse. And even though he's not the most technical advanced Spider-Man, he's shown to be the best Spider-Man, or one of the best. And with Miles, the first movie had him be a fish out of water, but until he took the leap of faith, he then becomes the Spider-Man. But hey, he's grown up and has become the Spider-Man of his universe, of his world. And as he continues to do so, he's getting used to the role. And with that, he's been fighting different villains and actually has just been going through them week by week. And actually makes a comment about that. And that New York has come to love him, but also accept him as their new Spider-Man. And I just love the way he has to deal with high school life, but also his Spider-Man role, but also has to deal with his parents. And I love how the movie revolves around that. And as for the movie's plot, it's heavy. There is no right or wrong. I don't even want to talk about the plot because it's so heavy. I didn't even watch the trailers or anything. I went into this movie blind. The only thing I saw was one trailer when I saw the Super Mario's movie. But besides that, nothing else. I've been in the dark. But what I can tell you is how relatable it is. Miles wants independence, but everyone is telling him what to do. And even when he knows how to do it, everyone doubts him. And that's a huge milestone for his character development. And I love that because it plays into his independence and taking a leap of faith like it does in the first movie. And it shows when the movie is at its most somber moments, with Miles just wanting to talk and explain himself, but facing the situations of what it means to be Spider-Man and the ramification it brings. And that plays into the main villain, who's very scary, but is played out like a joke. But as the movie continues, he becomes intimidating and he becomes more relatable, and you can see what he is to Miles as Miles is to him, and that he's more than a simple character, which is so crazy to me, as I would have never expected that. As the last time I saw this villain was the Amazing Spider-Man show, and he was a joke. Like, he was not anything special. But here, you almost feel for him, and you can really see where he comes from. Anyway, and there's also one Spider-Man I didn't talk about, and that's the Indian Spider-Man, Pajit Pavir Spider-Man, I believe his name is. And he's very funny, and I liked him a lot, and I hope to see him in some more mediums, because I didn't even know this guy existed. And as far as animation goes, this movie takes the first and cranks it up by 10. Sony gave so much more budget to this film, and it shows. Just about every scene could be used as a wallpaper. Every scene has something to offer. There's never a second wasted. There's so much visually happening that I need to see this movie a second or a third time. It's fantastic. But they placed every frame so well that it's not jumbled with noise. Instead, there's just enough to keep you focused on the main plot without getting distracted. As the surrounding areas, there's a bunch of stuff like happening, but as you're focused on the main characters, you don't notice that because they're so visually eye-catching. But when you get distracted and look away from the main characters, you can see like 10,000 bloody billion trillion things that you would have never saw the first time. But even with that, you're never not distracted to the main plot. It's so focused and you want to continue watching it. You want to continue seeing where it goes. And the animations, the cartography, they're incredible. There's a real weight to everything, like a punch is thrown with everywhere being swung. But it's not only that, the emotions go hard. You feel the way the characters act and see the desperation in their eyes and fangs. And oh, it works so well. I love it. But oh my god, man, this movie is such a bang. And the voice work, oh my god, and the dialogue are all done incredibly well. Miles has so much swagger in this movie. It's incredibly great and it's so funny. The movie is so genuinely relatable and funny. I think to anyone of color or parents of immigrant descent, they will understand the humor of when Miles and his parents are arguing. It plays out like you're talking to your own parents and how they will act and behave around other people, especially how you get into arguments and how you have to be like very careful with what you say. And if you say the wrong thing, you better be quiet and just accept the lecture that will come along. But deep down, you know, they're looking out for you. But then there are moments with, like, other characters. Like, one of my favorite characters in this movie is Ben Reilly, who whenever was on the screen cracked me up. Oh my god. He's oh so serious, and I love how dumb and edgy he is. I could talk about this movie for hours, but as perfect as it is, it's definitely a 9 out of 10. Only because of one major problem. It ends on a cliffhanger. And I really wish it didn't, but at the same time, I understand why. But if it wasn't to end on a cliffhanger, it's definitely a 10 out of 10. I think the problem is that it ends on a cliffhanger, but it ends in a way that doesn't feel like it should. It just kind of abruptly ends, and that's the biggest problem I have. But other than that, I could have sat in the theater for like another 4 hours. I was ready. I was 1000% ready just to sit there and watch all of it. It was a great experience, and I can't wait to watch the next movie. Anyway, if you like this review, or if you didn't, please like, subscribe, and share. If not, you know, that's just how it is.